And now we're talking. What is going down out there, guys? My sincere apologies. Should have reconfigured the settings there since having Graham on as a guest there the last day. If you haven't caught that one already, guys, do definitely go back, check out that conversation myself and Graham, aka Casa de Strugas. Or for some of you out there, you're a potential candidate for you in the upcoming European elections. No doubt, if you're an audience member here, G will align a lot with yourself and probably be a person you will be more than happy to give a vote to. So definitely do check that one out. Even though most of you probably already have. At least all those in the hot box there now, I believe we're all there on the day as it was happening live. Let there be sound, says John O'Regan. Yes, let there be sound. Oh, what a beaut. What a beaut. It's like, how many times have I done that now? And there I was, like, praising myself, saying, oh, yeah, I got it right there, thinking I started. Next, I see the comments coming in, you're muted. I'm like, God damn it, they're right, I am muted. Oh, my God. But as I was saying while I was muted, happy 420 to you all, guys, and again a belated happy 420 to you, as our big day was just over a week ago now. So 420 was, what was it now, 9 days ago. So yeah, a big happy 420 to you all out there, guys. Hopefully you all had a very good one wherever you might have celebrated it. I know myself and a couple of other campaigners flew the flag, engaged in a little bit of civil disobedience down in Cork. We held a protest opposite the office of Colin Burke. And Colin Burke, if you don't know, he's a TD here in Ireland, and he is the minister with responsibility for national drug strategy. So myself and a couple of other campaigners engaged in an old bit of civil disobedience down there outside of the office of Colin Burke. And in fairness, it seemed to have got his attention, as the very next day after that, I got an old follow back off him on the old X, on Twitter, whatever you want to call it these days. Still kind of lean to call it Twitter. X, like, just doesn't sound right. But anyhow, conversation for another day. Stoners and tangents, dangerous area. But I did get a follow back off him over there. I was hoping that might have followed with a message later on that day or in the next day or so. Heard absolutely nothing from him then after that. So we'll see what happens. We'll definitely be following up anyway with Cullum, and we'll be definitely trying to arrange a meeting. I just thought I'd leave the ball in his park now, as my invitation is still open to him. When he got announced as Minister with Responsibility for National Drug Strategy, I was straight on there and had an open invitation there. Look, Colin, more than happy to meet you down at that local cafe right next to your office in Blackpool. And yet, to this day, I've not received a reply to that yet. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Early days yet, anyway, for Colin. I don't know how long's he in the role now? Not even a month, I suppose. Yeah. Temple Grower teasing us all here. TG, he says he grabbed an ounce of some legendary Jaeger, or Jaeger? Jaeger, I would imagine. Legacy sourced, of course. Heavy duty anisey and spice. Oh man, that sounds absolutely delicious. Oh. Says one of his favourites. Usually only get it as a treat. Ooh, ooh. And if you ever happen to come by any beans that would be carrying that like anisey and spice flavor, oh, I would love if one or two of those beans found their way over here, or to be pointed in the right direction of where a person might find them, for a friend, of course. But that sounds absolutely amazing. Annecy is a favourite of mine. I used to enjoy that actually in college. Um, having out Annecy, it was a buddy of mine actually. Shout out to Jem if you're out there, dude. But it was Jem who put me onto it, like Annecy, just as a bit of a treat in the mouth. I was just kind of sucking on it, that kind of way. Yeah, it was nice. He is definitely a Burke, says Darren Mitchell. Darren says I'm late. No, I was actually on time, Darren. I kind of fecked up on the first start. This is take two. I started off with no microphone, an old classic of mine. uh, TG saying here, yeah, the Jaeger is cool as fuck. Clone only West Coast cut as fast as I know. Not sure if anyone has ever made S ones, but it is definitely unique. Yeah, that's certainly a flavor I've not come across anyway in my years of enjoying cannabis. That Annecy like is kind of a licoricey for people who don't really. Hopefully that's doing it justice to the flavor. But that's kind of the area I would be putting her in myself anyway. Annecy is in there in around the licoricey kind of area. Tasty out, yum. Miles Chronic says, smoking some Moon Train Haze. Oh, very nice, very, very nice. What have I got actually? I've got some chocolate tangy packed up in a bowl there already. We'll engage in an old civilous obedience bowl with you as well in a sec. But after that, then we have to pack up the grinder, and we've got some sour Maui cheese here inside in our old Grove bags. Woohoo! Handy old things, these Grove bags, in fairness. Can't beat a jar. I still love my jar, but in fairness, these things are really handy when it comes to like I would imagine that they would be very handy if like you were storing them, because I can remember before when I used to have an abundance of jars, sometimes jars banging off each other and stuff like that. It's dodgy. These bags, you can just kind of chuck them into a cupboard, stack them on top of each other. If they all fall out of the cupboard, just like no broken glass everywhere. It's like, yeah, really cool invention, man. In fairness, American made. It's kind of advertised all over the bottom of it. American made Grove bags, USA. But certainly worth the investment. Anyway, that's for sure. And that's not a sponsor. That's just a genuine impressed user. Oh, Bobby O'Brien, what's that? Got some animal face. Ah, Bobby. Got some photos of those there up. I do believe you had some photos of those up in the hot box earlier today as well. Was it the animal face? Savage. Savage. Oh, yeah. Gotta love the smell off of this. It's kind of got a bit of a tropical vibe to it. It's fruity-ish, but it's got that musty cheese undertone there. That cheese came out after a long time. Like, even when you smell the bag, you really don't. Yeah, you kind of get a little bit of cheesiness, more fruitiness though. Sour Moby cheese. But first, let's engage in a little bit of civil disobedience here with some Chocolate Tangy. Shout out to Bobby O'Brien. You know why. Legend. Hey, what's happening, Teresa? See Teresa popping into the hot box there as well. Teresa says, boom, hi all, just making a bowl of some lovely tropical cookies. Ah, nice. You just reminded me there. When cookies came to mind, I couldn't like have the word cookies rattling around in my brain without thinking of rashers. Gutted to say the least that I didn't get an opportunity to taste some of those amazing looking treats that Rashers was after bringing along with him. It's empty out the bowl, have her ready there for next shot. Hey. TG sounds delicious. Smoky tea, what's happening? Says TG. and I got another number one fan out there as well. Hi Avery. Wonder where is Elijah there too? Hi Elijah. I was checking out Daddy's podcast. Boom, there we go. Sour Moby cheese, grinded up and ready to go. Yeah, TG green hair. Yeah, licorice is the word. Boom. Going to be the seedsman Jack Herrera for me. Actually, and that brings me up. Dan Herrera, Jack Herrera's son, was interviewed there recently by Simpa Carter. That's on my to watch list maybe later on this evening if I get an opportunity. That should be an interesting old conversation. Oh, yummy. TG, teasing me, man. I'm going to be booking a flight there now soon. Be like GB getting on over there to you. Right, where is me headlines? All organised here for you today, guys. All organised. So we start off over on the Twitter, so we do. Over on Gino Kenny's page. So let's pop this on up on screen there for you guys. Maybe make that a little bit bigger. Sure, I'll be zooming here. Boom. So there is a talk next Thursday, guys. Another talk organised. Silent that. Another talk organised by the People Before Profit. That's going to be looking at Ireland's drug policy. You know, forgive my lack of enthusiasm here towards these type of events. I'm really looking forward to the speakers and everything. You know, Dr. Orla Campbell. Who's a drug policy reform activist from above in the north of Ireland. Does amazing work, in fairness to her. Eddie Darcy, a youth worker here in the Republic, again another amazing contributor to the community here, not the cannabis community that it is, but just the community of Ireland. Dr. Garrett McGovern, a GP addiction specialist, again another amazing guy in his own field, and Cian O'Connor, an assistant professor. And I do believe was it Ashlyn was saying, and I hope she wasn't mistaken in saying this, as she wasn't 100% sure, but I do believe Cian O'Connor actually has some prison time there as well for drug-related crime, I do believe. But again, I'm open to correction on that. I could completely wrong. Could be mistaken Cian with somebody else that Ashlyn might have been talking about, but those are the four speakers anyway. Looking forward to this talk. To hear what the speakers have to say. More importantly, to hear what Gino has to say. Like, I'm really intrigued as to what is next. Like, what are we actually going to be doing here over the next while? Because, like, people are still going to court. I have a couple of cases here lined up. Like, one of them's over somebody getting caught with about 5 grams, €100 worth of weed. Come on, like, what are we actually doing? Look what went on then. We'll jump over there to Luke Ming Flanagan's page because it's still on topic, I suppose. I was saying happy 420 to you all there earlier. So there's Luke Ming Flanagan's page. Had to do a bit of diving through this earlier. Where was it? There we go. So it was deep down into his page. He's a busy man on the X or the Twitter. Look, it's still Twitter up here actually in the twitter.com. But he's a busy man over there at to do a lot of scrolling to get down to 9 days ago now on his Twitter. Boom, just pop this up there on a full screen for you. So Luke Ming Flanagan posting from Stephen's Green above in Dublin. A protest organised there by a number of campaigners for legalisation in Ireland, among them the Cannabis Activist Alliance Ireland and CRAN. Uruguay have done it, says Luke Ming Flanagan. Canada have done it. Half the USA have done it. Malta have done it. Luxembourg have done it. Germany have done it. And he says now Ireland must follow. Hashtag legalise it. And then you see what is a display from above there in Dublin Stephen's Green on Saturday, just over a week ago. And we press play here. Boom.
News groups are silent supply. It's an absolutely failed policy, and we have to. News groups are silent supply. It's an absolutely.
So it's only a short old clip from above there. I'm not aware of any other longer clips available up online at the moment. Maybe there might be more available, but that's all I came across for now, just over on Luke McFlanagan's page. But what it does show is a quick scan there of the audience. And what we seen there above in Stephen's Green on just Saturday, just over a week ago on 420, and below here in Cork was a display of civil disobedience. The public coming out, no longer being held back by the fears of being punished by the misuse of drugs law, and coming together and collectively breaking that law in protest. We done the exact same thing here in Cork City, but we done it with much smaller numbers. Unfortunately, there was short notice there, so people will be forgiven for not being able to make it. Fair play to those who actually did make it down to outside of Colm Burke's office. But what we did there on that day, we had 5 cannabis plants down there. 4 of those cannabis plants actually got rehomed afterwards, which was amazing. They got adopted, and I'm not surprised that they did. There was some very good genetics there. There was a GMO there. There was a chocolate tangy there. Those got rehomed. There was sour Maui cheese that got rehomed, and Gorilla Blueberry that got rehomed. And I do believe there was what was left over. I think there was another chocolate, or was it a GMO? I think there was a plant left over that had a question mark around its lineage. Tags went missing. Accidents happen, guys. But that was the one that was left for Colm Burke. But what happened there? We had a display of civil disobedience. We were the guards, the authorities, they had circled a number of times that day. At one stage, they actually were stopped at traffic lights right next to a big bright orange sign there at the side of the road that had a cannabis plant on either side of it. So there was 2 cannabis plants on full display there in front of these guards inside in that squad car. And they were eating ice cream. They were just sitting there licking ice cream, happy out. Like, I was delighted that they were just sitting there eating ice cream. I didn't want them to be coming bothering us, to be fair. But it was sort of, I don't know, is it a testament that times are changing, or what? I just don't understand it. I can't. I definitely don't believe that I have some immunity about me or something like that. That they don't want to come and touch me or something. That's anybody who might suggest that is an absolute crazy person. Because I not for a second do I believe that. But I am definitely curious as to why. Why not? Why in Stephen's Green? Like at least in Stephen's Green, you can kind of say, there's too many people there for him to come and hassle and harass and take cannabis off of and what have you. In Cork on 420, there was about 10 or 12 of us in a small area, all of us consuming cannabis. Everybody was there consuming cannabis. People were actively rolling joints, smoking joints, and passing cannabis around, and we had cannabis plants there on full display. So it wasn't numbers for us. Like, so what was it? I just don't understand that. But I just have to think that maybe it is a reflection of times are maybe a changing a little bit. But then again, look at this crap that's going to be coming up there in a couple of minutes. That then will make you change your mind about things are changing. If we saying no, we're fucking probably worse now than what we ever were before. But anyhow, we'll see. Rashers, what is happening, my man? Rashers, there'll be more next week. I'll get some in the air. Yes, edibles you're on about, yeah. Rasher says, Cian O'Connor reminds me of that lad in the Olympics whose horse was on drugs. Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, the horses and all are on the drugs, but mad stuff. Rasher says, 3 them at least are the Bobby line. Yes. Bobby was well represented at the protest anyway, man. Yep. they're in spirit and and then some. Fair play, Bobby, man. Changing the Irish landscape, at least for the growers over here anyway. What a legend. But yes. Shall we get on to some more news? I want to jump to this one. Russell Newcombe. Just pay some respects to Russell Newcombe. Russell Newcombe, you might or might not be familiar with that name, but Russell was a campaigner, a trailblazer, I suppose, in the harm reduction space, in that he's said to be the first person to have put the term harm reduction, to use it to describe an alternative path to punitive goals of the war on drugs. So there's an obituary here on the Guardian from the obituary was published by Mike J yesterday. So just in respect to Russell Newcombe, I'm going to go through this obituary and pay respect to a guy who done so much there in the field of harm reduction. It says his reputation as a leading researcher in the field led Russell to be engaged by the Home Office to study drug-using populations, and he also lectured at police training colleges, ran courses for drug workers, collaborated with progressive policymakers abroad, and lent these energies to drug user organisations and anti-prohibition campaigners. So again, Russell seems to be a man after my own heart. Russell's expertise at searching out often overlooked official data and using it in incisive and authoritative reports demanded long working hours, for which he often had recourse to artificial stimulants. Understanding the experiences of drug users was central to his practice, and he experimented widely with psychedelics and other compounds. He felt a moral obligation to be open about his drug use and rejected the stigma attached to it. So again, very much man after my own heart. Fair play to him, like staying true to who he was and was not going to be held back or controlled by shame and stigma. Russell was born in Shrewsbury. That's that really expensive road in Monopoly. I can't help but ignore that. Sorry. Russell was born in Shrewsbury to Bill and a garage manager and his wife Vera Nee Davies, a hotel cook. After attending the Wakeman School in Shrewsbury, he went to Sussex University for a social science degree, followed by a PhD at the University of Kent. After 2 years of research, 2 years as a research assistant at the Chelsea College in London, looking at a school policies on smoking, he moved in 1985 to Liverpool, where a crisis of injecting drug use was being compounded by the AIDS pandemic. It goes on to say then that in Liverpool he was for 2 years a research associate on the Misuse of Drugs project at the University of Liverpool, and it was in that job that he made the first use in print of the term harm reduction. So in a January 1987 issue of the Drug Link magazine, after a year as research manager on South Sefton District Health Authority's Drug Education Research Project, he became director of the Drugs and HIV Monitoring Unit at Mersey Regional Health Authority. So there you go. That's the part there that just highlights that first use of the term harm reduction in print. And that was in a January 1987 issue of Drug Link magazine. It says, moving on to take up a research fellowship with the Alcohol, Drugs and Crime Project at the University of Manchester in 1993, he set up his own Drugs Research Bureau, 3D, advising, amongst other things, on drug use associated with the rise of the rave scene. And from 1998 to 2010, he was first a senior lecturer in the School of Psychology and Natural Sciences at the Liverpool John Moores University, and then senior researcher at a Lifeline publisher specialising in writing reports on drugs-related topics, including a study of 100 clients of the Manchester Needle Exchange programme and interviews with the homeless people who use drugs. In 2010, he resurrected his 3D consultancy company, consultancy, producing further reports, training health professionals, and putting his experience to use as a consultant for film and TV producers who needed advice on how to depict drug use accurately. And that's very important too. Like, there's nothing more annoying than like you see drug users portrayed totally inaccurately, but like in the most stigmatizing of ways, like always like in a very negative light. Oh, excuse me. So it is important that they were able to get good guidance like that, and no doubt it contributed to a better overall quality, the overall quality of whatever piece they were putting together, a movie or TV show, whatever it might have been. It says together with his second wife, Sherney White, a Canadian drugs expert whom he married in 2012, he worked with Benedict Cumberbatch on his BAFTA-winning performance in the TV miniseries Patrick Melrose, about an upper-class Englishman trying to deal with an alcoholism and heroin addiction. 2 weeks before Russell's death, the UN Commission on Narcotics Drugs finally passed a resolution accepting the term harm reduction after decades of resistance. It was a fitting tribute to his journey from the margins of drug policy to mainstream recognition. He is survived by by 2 children, Jack and Ella, from his first marriage, and that was to Jane Nee Gregory, which ended in divorce, and they have 4 grandchildren, Haley, Zach, Massey, and Alfie. So, condolences to those near and dear to Russell. But again, just the Russell, freaking, tip my hat, man, to the work that you've done there in the field of harm reduction. Fair play. So, boom, just pop that off. Boom. What's happening there in the hot box? Bobby O'Brien says you happen to see Kyle's Benning carries. Yeah, they're coming along nicely. Very nice indeed. Boom. After that, guys, the obituary. His work, and it's very relevant to his obituary, because we go from a guy who would have done so much work in the field around harm reduction, going so far as to be the first person to actually put the term harm reduction in publication. Well, this is the type of thing he was trying to warn us about, or to try to avoid these kind of situations. So this is a post that's up there on the Cron X, their Twitter page. Make this a little bit bigger there for you. Block me out, I'll be grand. Contaminated weed in the UK. And it says recent samples from the UK show cannabis flower sold as Tutti Frutti, which is the strain name, was contaminated with a killer substance known as MDMB4EN Pinaca. So these are those synthetic cannabinoids that are deadly, as the guys at Crown say. These are deadly killer substances, but if in the wrong hands and if in the wrong dose, these things potentially could actually kill. They say here on their post, they say, make no mistake, these same substances are here in Ireland. We just have no testing infrastructure. So I can't repeat that enough, guys. Make no mistake. These same substances are here in Ireland. We just have no testing infrastructure, and that's so true. Like, if you got a sample of cannabis that you were suspect of, you have nowhere to send it to have it tested, like the guys over in the UK. This testing over in the UK, this was done by Wednos. I'm not too sure how you actually pronounce that. We'll pop them up there. Wednos. There we go. Boom. So this is a service over in the UK where you can send a drug sample to them, whether it be cannabis, whether it be an edible, whether it be some form of ecstasy or fake Xanax you might have got your hands on. You can send it to these guys if you're unsure about it, or if you just want to be sure about it, and they will test it for you. It's all anonymous. The results then, look, sample results. You go on here, the results are up here, and you can just click into any of these. So all of these samples were most recently put up. So this one here was the 22nd of April. It's a white tablet, Purchase intent, diazepam package label was Ranbaxy, and a sample upon analysis is et- etazolazam. So it wasn't diazepam, it was etolazam, which isn't diazepam. It's similar but different. I believe it's is a thionide xanthine, which is a chemically related to a class of substance known as benzos. So it's a synthetic benzo. It's basically a type of benzo, but it's not diazepam. Do you know? Like we could do with a service like this over here so badly, not just for cannabis, but for all illegal drugs. Until we have a safe, regulated way in which people can get access to these drugs, then we need a service like this over here to be able to keep people safe, because people are going to do drugs regardless of the legality. So isn't it better you just keep those people safe? So again, like the guys at Cron said, we don't have a service like Weednos here in Ireland, but make no mistake, substances like what the guys shared there are here. They are here, you know. If you're lucky, what you might get is a bud sprayed with some HHC or something like that. But if you're very unlucky, then you're going to get something it's probably a CBD bud sprayed with God only knows what, and that God only knows what is not going to be good for you at all, compared to if you were able to walk into a bloody shop because you're over 18 and you have your ID to prove it, and you could buy off of a retailer some good high quality cannabis that's safe and quality assured and all of that stuff. The only dangers there to it are the ones that you know of and you're willing to take, in terms of like respiratory illnesses from smoking. To be fair, like that's probably the gravest danger there, to be honest, about like from cannabis as such. Everything else is related to the prohibition of it. You want to talk about potency being a danger? Prohibition is a problem there, because you can't walk into a shop and get some low strength cannabis. Anyhow, all you guys know this already, so no point preaching to the choir. What do we have lined up next? Keep losing my book. Obituary. Yes. Wexford we go to. I was talking there earlier about, like, you know, maybe the sign of things are changing. Well, this particular case is it's fairly upsetting, like, you know. Like, within the case, says Wexford Gardaí find cannabis in woman's car. But what they found in the woman's car was €100 worth of cannabis. This was on April 18th. The woman was in her 20s and she was let off with the adult caution as she took ownership of the substances and has no previous offences. But, like, why this is upsetting me is why is this even in the media? and I understand, I know pretty much why it's in the media. It's a PR thing. It's a PR ploy. There's going to be a conversation there now soon. There's going to be a fucking, what's it called, one of those committees, an expert group or whatever they want to call it, around the Citizens Assembly. That's supposed to be established in the next week or two. And basically that's PR towards this. They're going to be able to go into that and say, oh yeah, but look, we're giving people adult cautions. Look, it's in the media and all. Sure, we're giving people adult cautions. It's working. We've already taken this health-led approach that they want to talk about, you know. Look, we can do it. Don't bother changing anything. At least that's my sneaky suspicion there, that potentially PR related. Because why else? Why? Come on, look at the case. Like, 105 grams worth of cannabis. Like, that was just over a week ago, 10 days ago, nearly. Just over 10 days ago, 11 days ago, she got caught with this. And it's in the media. It's in the media since 7 o'clock this morning, 10 days ago. Come on, like, have they got nothing better to be reporting at within the Gardaí than to be reporting that they gave some woman caught with 5 grams of cannabis an adult caution? Because such an offence is not in the public interest. Why is it in the public interest to even report on it then? Like, why is that information being relayed to journalists. No, maybe in the Gardaí's defence, the journalist asked specifically about this, but really, come on, I don't know. That stinks to me anyway. Steve Walsh, what's happening? He says, who are you going to vote for in the next election and which party is the most cannabis friendly? Very good question, to be fair. I know I'm going to be voting most likely for myself as I can. But if I was to be voting in Cork North Central, Mick Barry would probably be the guy who would get a vote out of me. Not looked at all the candidates there yet, but yeah, unfortunately, People Before Profit and Solidarity are definitely the most cannabis friendly party within Ireland. Sinn Féin, unfortunately, no. Fine Gael, Fine Gael, obviously no. The Green Party, just wouldn't trust them ever again. Labour, no, not seeing anything good from them. I know Ardán is there, but in regards to cannabis and stuff like that, man, there's like, okay, they'll probably get a number before the other guys, just so that somebody gets a vote. Like, but to be fair, it's there's independence, People Before Profit and Solidarity, and that's, in my opinion, it. Unfortunately, isn't it? I'm wanting the correction there, like, but yeah, independence, People Before Profit, and Solidarity. Um, I'm not aware of any other parties there that support cannabis legalization, or at least not actively anyway. Steve Walsh says, I'd vote for Martin if I lived in Cork. Damn it. Nice one, Stephen, man. Hopefully somebody runs it in your area that you feel like you can, that your voice is represented by that person, at least in regards to cannabis, and hopefully some other things as well. I know my area, that's why I'm running. I didn't feel like my voice was represented by anybody that was there running. So I was just like, you know what? I'm going to do it myself. Feck it. If anything, just to amplify my own voice, just for the campaign. But she's, imagine, crazy, like we wake up and Martin Conlon elected. I was like, what? I would be more shocked than all of you guys. I guarantee that anyway. Guarantee that. Right, yeah, but why? Let me drive on from there, guys, because there was a number of other busts then, like, waste of time with the guards. Absolute ridiculous waste of time. And we look at this at a time too when our prisons like are absolutely overcrowded. So there's a headline up here on the Sunday World. Boom. Just pop this up on screen now for you. Boom, there you go. Prisons overcrowded, creating an unsafe environment for prison officers and prisoners. So meanwhile, like, you get caught with some cannabis, something that, like, they say is a danger to you, and their punishment for that is they're going to put you somewhere where you're in danger. Make that make sense. I'm sorry, but it's just like, what? What in the name of God is that all about? Like, so, prisons are overcrowding at the moment. Helen McEntee, the Minister for Justice, went so far as to even actually recommend that we build more prisons. Ridiculous. They want to build more prisons. Like, in fairness, like, why don't they just, like, maybe reduce the burden on the justice system by reducing the amount of people that we see as criminal in society, you know, people who we don't really need to see. Kind of like how we changed it for people who would engage in same-sex relationships, or people who might have used condoms once upon a time. You know, those people would have also been targeted by our justice system in order to, you know, fucking dictate this morality within society. A morality that nobody really agreed with. It was just dictated from a top down. You know, initially it was from a church, but the war on drugs, it's from the US, really, isn't it? The prohibitionists, that arm, it's kind of like fucking its own little thing. Like, it became its own little living thing, and it spread from the US, like, after alcohol prohibition, the war on drugs. But yeah, you know what I mean. Anyway. So yeah, they want to send us to prison at a time when the prisons are overcrowded. Just stop sending people to prison. Come on, in fairness. But meanwhile, look at this then. Like they have these are the drug busts, so they're going to have six more people there burdening our justice system after they seized €180,000 worth of drugs above in Dublin. There was 180,000 worth of drugs located. €130,000 worth of it was cannabis. 25,000 worth of it was cocaine, and 25,000 of it was heroin. They arrested six people. And it says a number of searches were conducted with the aim of disrupting the sale and supply of drugs in the Coolock area. But like again, like they say this, like with the aim of disrupting it, but like the guards admit that regardless of their efforts, that they do very little, if ever, disrupt the sale and supply of drugs in any area. Like they do nothing to disrupt it. To be fair, yeah, sure, there might be areas where you hear people say, "Oh, there's a drought" or whatever, but you'll always find weed, and all it does is just makes it more expensive sometimes, or at least it makes it more easier for you to get ripped off because you might have to go searching, in different spaces, like because your usual person mightn't have it, for the time being, but somebody else always does. But they talk about the combined drugs, 180,000. Says cash and designer clothing were also seized. A number of checkpoints were put in place during the day, which resulted in the seizure of 13 vehicles. A busy day for the cops, in fairness. 13 vehicles, like. A number of road traffic offences were detected, and 3 horses were seized as well. You know what I mean? 2 men appeared before the courts in respect of outstanding warrants, while the remaining 4 were released without charge. A final prepared before the DPP, and Gardaí say investigations are ongoing. Like, what a waste of time. Like, some people might be saying, oh, finally they're getting a bit of heroin, but to be fair, like, the guards shouldn't be wasting any time going out there looking for drugs. That should be a job for the revenue, for people who are trying to evade paying taxes on the sale of drugs, because all of these drugs, to be fair, all of them should have some like legal and regulated way in which a person could probably get access to them. I say all of them. There's cocaine there, there's heroin there, there is cannabis there. So yeah, I'm open to argument on that if anyone wants to argue. But yeah, I don't think any of them should be illegal. Regulated, yeah, certainly. I'm not saying fucking everybody should be free to sell them on the corner or the street, no. But certainly, much like fucking a pub, yeah, you can't just go out and open a pub here or anywhere. We need to get a license first, don't we? Yeah, same thing, same effing thing. There's already people there with proper licenses too. They're called pharmacies. But anyhow. Keita Halloran says we voted the clowns in, and what have they done? F all. Yeah, you're right, man. I didn't vote them in though. That's the only thing. Well, yeah, I didn't vote for any of the current the lot that are actually in there. Or did I? Sorry. Yes, actually, apologies. Mick Barry would have got my vote. Yeah, he would have got my vote. I would have transferred from me to him, and I would have stayed with him. But yeah. What's happening, Mackie? See Mackie after hopping into the hot box. What is going down, my man? But we drive on, 180,000 worth of cannabis, or 180,000 worth of drugs seized above there in Dublin. Then we go from Dublin to Limerick. We're down in Limerick. There was 300,000 worth of drugs seized, where they describe what was a cannabis factory raided. Said 2 people fled the property on Clare Street in Limerick City during the planned Garda operation. Those people have not yet been arrested at all, but they did arrest a couple of others. It says armed Gardaí raided the operation of a cannabis factory in a house in Limerick City on Friday and recovered 300,000 worth of cannabis and cannabis plants. Some 10,000 in cash was also seized during the planned operation. Friday's crackdown on the illegal sale and supply of drugs in the city was led by the Limerick Divisional Drugs Unit, supported by the Garda Regional Armed Support Unit. And shortly before midday, armed Gardaí using a battering ram and steel cutters assisted drug squad officers in gaining entry to the property. 4 men who were in the house situated on Clare Street just off of the city centre were arrested for questioning under Section 2 of the Criminal Justice Drugs Trafficking Act 96. The four suspects, which included one in his 30s, two in their 40s, and one in his 60s, can be held for up to a week without being charged. Like, imagine that. Like, you get caught at a house with some cannabis plants and they can keep you in custody for a week without being charged. It's understood that the two other males fled from the property. Gardaí seized 15 kilos of cannabis in the house along with 30 cannabis plants. So there you go. Like, and there's a picture of the old cop above there with his battering ram and his big fucking schnips. Hard, man. A waste of time, to be fair. Like, come on, 30 cannabis plants, 15 kilos of cannabis. Why? Like, come on, those guards could have been out there doing so much better within our society. Like, do we not have actually real criminals out there? People who actually are perpetrating violence towards other individuals in society. People who fucking take advantage of vulnerable people in our society by stealing from them, or worse, preying on vulnerable people in vulnerable situations without going into fucking gruesome or graphic details at this early hour of the day. You know what I mean? Come on, like, why do we have a drug squad, you know? A drug squad. Like Donegal there actually just re-established their drug squad. Why? Like, were they not doing fine without it? Was there, like, I wasn't seeing any major fucking shit going on up in Donegal because they didn't have a drug squad above there. But apparently the Donegal Gardaí have seized over €1 million worth of drugs so far this year since they reintroduced their drugs unit to the county. So the statistic was revealed by the Gardaí Chief Superintendent Goretti Sheridan in a presentation to the Joint Police Committee on Friday. The overall figure included two recent fines, one of 125,000 of cannabis in Milford District, also more than 600,000 worth of cannabis in a grow house in Donegal town in February. Like, you see this, like just that two raids alone, that two raids there alone, that's nearly all of the drugs that were seized above in Donegal, and it was cannabis. It was cannabis. Come on, like, in fairness. And that's not to say that, they should be focusing on other drugs. It's just that, like, is this really justified? Like, that we're wasting such a valuable resource as the Gardaí on something as benign as cannabis? To be fair, like, come on, the biggest threat there posed by a person who consumes cannabis is to fucking Swiss roll and custard, you know? Which I would absolutely mangle right now, or that Easter egg that's sitting over here crossed away from me, you know. But you know what I mean? That's the biggest thing we pose a threat to. All of these horror stories out there being put out by these prohibitionists like Bobby Smith and the Aubrey Adams of the world, like, they're nothing but just fear mongering, just wanting to spread fear about a certain group of people that is not true, you know. So we drive on this article. It says that the figure also includes numerous other smaller amounts of various drugs, including cocaine, heroin, and MDMA, following undercover guard operations at various locations across the county. The escalation in drug fines coincides with the re-establishment of the local Garda drugs unit in the county. Chief Superintendent Sheridan said the fines shows the benefits of having the drugs unit working on the ground. But again, I question that. I really do question that. Like, the benefits, if all you're getting is cannabis, is that truly a benefit to society, to that community, even when so many people rely on these, I suppose, these criminal groups to actually source their medicine? How many people out there are using cannabis for something like insomnia, for anxiety, for depression, can't get access to cannabis here in the Republic because of the restrictive program that's in place here? So how many of those people actually have to rely on the criminal networks then as a result? So is there really value to the community that these fucking this cannabis is being taken out of that community? Especially when I mentioned there earlier, all it really does is actually just make it more expensive for those who are remaining, or for that cannabis that is remaining, and then those who actually are desperate for it get taken advantage of. Is that really the best for the community? Come on, seriously, like, the benefits of having the drugs unit. That's not a benefit at all. You're just making life more dangerous for people, or more harder for people good people as well, not the criminals that she should be focusing on. They go on to say a number of people are currently before the courts in connection with some of these fines. The chairperson of the Joint Policing Committee, Councillor Jerry McMonigal, echoed the sentiments. Again, echoing his sentiments. Oh yes, great work by the Gardaí, taking away people's medicine. He said drugs have to be a huge priority for us, and these fines show the amount of drugs both across the country and county. Come on, that's absolute BS. Why do drugs have to be a huge priority for us? Should it not be people's mental fucking health? Like, seriously, like, for fear of going off there now, effing and blind, and I'm I'm gonna take a breath. But seriously, like, drugs have to be a huge priority. To be fair, like, well, if they actually focused on people's mental health, drugs would be less of a problem in society, because a lot of the times people go on to develop problems in their own drugs is when they've got underlying issues there that haven't been addressed by the mental health services. Time and time again, that's seen to be the case. The people who've got issues there with drug abuse, you get them into treatment, and a lot of the times you treat them by addressing their mental health. It's you don't treat their drug addiction. You treat their mental health problem, and the drug addiction then is a symptom of that. Not always, but a vast majority of them. Yes. So yes, Donegal. We were talking there about Donegal. We stick with Donegal because, as I mentioned, there, cannabis being taken away from people within the community, because there's certain people above there in Donegal who rely on those criminals for it. Well, there's other people above there in Donegal who travel over, I believe, from other neighbouring counties that are actually in the UK. And in the UK, as you might well know, there is a more a favourable system for access for patients, so patients can access cannabis for a wider excuse me, a wider range of symptoms or ailments. So this next one is coming out of Donegal again, but it's featuring a man from Derry. So it says the judge strikes out drugs charge after a man prescribed cannabis by doctor. And a Donegal judge spared a conviction for the possession of drugs after a man outlined to the court how he was prescribed cannabis by a doctor in London. Gives the man's name here. Emmett Rudd was before Judge Kieran Liddy, who was pictured above here, from Ballyshannon District Court. He was charged with the unlawful possession of cannabis. After reviewing the documentation provided by Mr. Rudd and hearing the defendant give evidence, Judge Kieran Liddy struck out the charge. I'll zoom this in there for you guys. Garda Paul White gave evidence of stopping a grey Toyota Yaris with 3 males on board at 10:40 a.m. on April 11, 2023. That was just over a year ago. There was a strong smell of cannabis in the vehicle, and Gardaí located a blue jacket in which there were 2 white containers, each being Mr. Rudd's, each bearing Mr. Rudd's name. Cannabis to the value of approximately €30 was in each container. So again, €30 worth of cannabis, that would be about 1.5 grams of cannabis in each container. And 1 second now, Integro Medical Cannabis Container. Let's see if I can just get something up here. Boom, there you go. Like these would be very similar to what those guards would have seized there on that evening. So this is up here on the Integro website. So this would be cannabis from Bedrocan over in Holland. It would have a label bearing the title of the cannabis floss here in this case, which is a Bedrocan product. And then it would have on the other side, opposite to that, it would have the patient's name. It would probably have like a prescribing doctor and whatever other information you would find on a label of a person's prescription in the UK. So that's what the cops would have seen there on that particular morning when they would have stopped that individual in that Yaris. So like he told them that the containers they were holding were medical cannabis. He said that they were obtained from a doctor and that they were for his own use. But yet, nonetheless, the guards still took it off him and took him to court for it. And it was over a year later he has to attend the court case. He had to get a solicitor then for this. His solicitor, Frank Murphy, he handed a letter into the court which listed Mr. Rudd's medical condition and which showed that he was to take zero 0.3 of a gram of the cannabis each day. The product was sourced from Integro, a London-based cannabis specialist clinic who say they provide private medical cannabis treatment by expert clinicians. The company confirmed in a letter shown to the court that Mr. Rudds is under their direct care. Mr. Murphy said his client is a 22-year-old of Argyle Street, Derry, was not attempting to conceal the cannabis and he had a letter as a valid prescription. So not only did he have his name labelled on it like a normal prescription was, but he actually had a letter stating, that it was a valid prescription, and the guards still took it. His solicitor said he'd done everything, at least he believed he'd done everything right. He says there is a scheme that if he lived in the Republic of Ireland, he would have been covered for medical cannabis. It was the most legal form of illegality, Mr. Murphy said. He'd done everything to the letter of the law. He thought that he was covered to travel outside his jurisdiction, and he took all the relevant advices. He'd done everything in his ability to travel lawfully with a controlled substance. This was a valid legal service that he was availing of. The Garda Inspector Seamus McGonigal told the court that he was not sure about the letter which was provided in court, and there was a dispute between Mr. Rudd and the Gardaí on whether or not he had shown the officers the document when initially stopped. Like, I can imagine that. Well, like, you're getting stopped by the guards. Oh, there's a smell of cannabis in the car. Yeah, I have a prescription in the back. You stay there now. Don't you move at all. We're going searching the car. Like, I've met guards like that, especially if you're a young fella. He said he's only 23. Especially if you're a young fella. The guards want to intimidate you a little bit. Anybody else out there agree with me, experienced that firsthand, or know people who've experienced that? But my only first-hand experience, that's what I was treated like as a young fella by the guards. And spoke down to you, never spoke to you, even when you handed them the cannabis. But I can imagine the way the guards were behaving probably on this occasion. Your man might have been a bit upset too. He's like, yeah, what's the problem? But just take the fucking prescription. But there it is. But just give me back my medicine. Like, leave me alone. No, you're going to court. Where that's cannabis, that's illegal. Oh, pigs. Mr. Murphy said that a scheme is in place in Ireland which enabled some people to carry cannabis if it was for medical purpose, but he had a product that had to be under prescription in the state. The Medical Cannabis Access Programme was signed into legislation in 2019 on a pilot basis for 5 years. That pilot actually is coming to an end now this year. The Medical Cannabis Access Programme made it possible for medical consultant to prescribe a cannabis-based treatment for a patient under his or her care for the following medical conditions where the patient has failed to respond to standard treatment: spasticity associated with multiple sclerosis, intractable nausea and vomiting associated with chemotherapy, and severe refractory treatment-resistant epilepsy. Mr. Rudd talked to the evidence, talked to the witness box, and said his own doctor put him in touch with the company who he has an online checkup with every 3 months. He said the medical cannabis is posted directly to his house in Derry and comes in a proper prescription bag. Mr. Rudd told Judge Liddy that he suffers from bad anxiety and depression, and this is a favoured form of treatment, so I don't have to take tablets. Again, this is something that's always dismissed here in Ireland. People self-medicating with cannabis because, they don't like taking tablets. They prefer just to use something a bit more natural there in the form of a herb and cannabis, and that they find it to be actually beneficial. But unfortunately, in the Republic of Ireland, anxiety and depression are not listed as conditions that you can be prescribed cannabis for under that pilot programme. But over across the border above there in Derry, you can get prescribed medical cannabis for conditions such as anxiety and depression. He told the judge that he has travelled to France and England and he had no bothers in either of those airports, and at all times he thought he was above board. And Judge Ciarán Liddy said he found the facts proven. So in other words, he disagreed with the cops and struck the matter out. But what a waste of time, absolute waste of time, and an inconvenience there for that poor patient too, And the hassle of it all at the side of the road, being intimidated most likely by those guards, taking away your medicine, being without your medicine. How long was he without his medicine? Did he have to travel back across the border to go home get more medicine? Did he have to wait a couple of days for more to be posted out to him? Like, what's the procedure there now? Like, how did a Gardaí rectify this? How do they right their wrong? You know? So many questions, but will we ever get answers? Reach out to, what was your man's name there? Not Mr. Liddy, that was the judge, fucking Rudd, Mr. Rudd. Get on to Mr. Rudd there and see what the story is. Did you get your weed back off him? Get him to buy you a new 50 bag. Ah, man. Rashers, what's going on there, Rashers? Said they went in and tore the estate apart. Every scooter, bike, and even the horses taken out. Not saying the innocent, but Garda tactics are brutal. Oh, you're on about that recent one there that we were on about, the 180k above in Dublin, yeah? Above in Coolock, yeah? Oh, man, shit, alright. Andy Parsons, to be fair, Martin, even the medical weed in the UK doesn't work to a degree because they have outpriced the people that need it. Yeah, and man, don't get me wrong, I'm not praising the medical system in the UK by any means at all. Yeah, I definitely think it's a bit overpriced. It's still better priced than what we're getting here in Ireland. Don't get me wrong either on that. But yeah, for patients who have to pay for it themselves out of pocket, like it's a bit ridiculous, especially considering how much some people need as well, and could consume. Because yeah, like that guy was only told to consume point 0.3 a day. But like I believe in Canada, or some chronic pain patients are told to consume up to 3 grams a day, which is a lot, especially if you're having to pay like what, £10 a gram maybe, thereabouts, £5 even. Like even if you're paying £5 a gram, £15 a day, 7 days a week, 28 days every 4 weeks, that's a lot. Adds up. But I do agree, and yeah. The UK system's not perfect, but certainly much better than the Irish. John O'Regan says the guards are just badly led. Well, John, you know what? I have to agree with you there in some regards as too. I've met some very, very nice guards over the last year or so, maybe more. I have to be honest now on that. I've no problem ripping into them and fucking calling a spade when it has to be. But like, to be honest and fair, they've been very nice over the last 2 years. I've not met any who've been, oh man, what you're doing is stupid. Oh, you're a dumbass doing that. It'll never happen and stuff. Like, in fairness, like some of them been just kind of, we don't even want to be doing this, but we kind of agree with what you're doing and stuff. It's like it's been mad. It's been quite an experience to say the least. Miles Chronic says, does medical cannabis in the UK have to be irradiated? Vast majority of it is, from what I understand. I don't know if there is any that don't irradiate it. But again, like when it comes to gamma radiation, like it's not the worst. It's not as bad as you would imagine it to be. Like I'm all for organic. Don't like, again, I love all natural and everything like that. But when it comes to a medical product, medical I'm talking about now, gamma radiation actually isn't that bad. Like a lot of things get gamma radiated that you might be using, that you might even realize. A lot of things that get sterilized. A lot of herbs and spices actually get like gamma radiated within Europe as well. It's a very commonly used form of sterilization, especially for dense stuff. Like, again, it's a chili powder, it's a big bag of chili powder. It'd be very hard to sterilize that, like, and get a good shelf life out of it after you've dried and powdered it or what have you. But anyhow, again, this is just horrible science coming back to the forefront there from a couple of years ago. I did look, and again, just to park it after this one, I did look at the Bedrocan paper on their gamma radiation process, and the loss of volatile compounds was comparable to during the gamma radiation process, comparable to the loss of those volatile compounds just in a regular room environment, because the gamma radiation process, like, it isn't hot or anything. It doesn't cause an increase in temperature and things. It's just bombarding them with just freaking particles and stuff like that. Um, but it's comparable to the loss that, like, if you left cannabis out in the room for what's the irradiation process take? I think it's about 15 minutes, maybe less. And it's comparable to that. You put it up on a table in your kitchen. So if you're worried about losses during that, but again, I can totally understand. But then again, most people looking for that, then not irradiated stuff, probably don't have, like, fucking autoimmune problems. Yeah. Certain people could definitely need that extra bit layer of protection. Gamma radiation is that. I'll park it. No, there we go. Gamma radiation. Miles Chronic says, sounds like it's covered the asses of the inferior producers from micro molds. Yep. Medical is more than rec stores for same products in Canada. Simon Martin says, I plan on flying home to Ireland to Knock soon for a few weeks. Bring my prescription with me. It's the only reason I have one. Boom. Excellent. Good to hear. Hopefully you don't have the same problem as Mr. Rudd did there earlier. But at least you kind of know from his experience. Look, just make sure you have your prescription there, and just try to be polite to the cops. If you do bump into any problems while you're here, I would love if you were willing to share those experiences here with me. What were the cops like and all of that? But please, God, touch wood, you don't, and it's a pleasurable, pleasant experience for you and your medicine. But go on, what is happening? Still disappointed. Bobby O'Brien says, from my experience here, it's all the same product, just usually 30% cheaper. They do have certain strains limited to the medical side sometimes, but no difference in quality or effect from what I have found. It's the same thing pretty much, isn't it, really? Like, yeah. Is it the same up there, Bobby, though, with the gamma radiation for, say, the medical side? In what you're referring to here in the medical side? Or is the medical side just a loose use of the term medical marijuana store? But meanwhile, it's just normal grown weed just coming in from out of town producers, passing the same standards that normal recreational cannabis would pass. Here in Europe, they're a bit more stringent in it, and the UK as well, as they only just recently left Europe, I suppose, and would have brought with it a lot of those fucking standards, unfortunately for them. Where medical, like, if you're using the word medical, they've got a lot of regulations for you to adhere to. And sterility is fucking high up there, unfortunately, especially even for things like herb, natural medicines like cannabis. Feckers. Oh, Mr. Finnegan. Sorry, mate. He says, howdy, feckers. No notification. Balls of a thing. Bastards. Yeah, there you go. Daily Talker as well, bringing her up. Isn't all imported fruit and veg irradiated? Yeah, quite a bit of it can be. I wouldn't say all of it, but yeah, certainly a lot of it certainly can be. And Miles Chronic there as well, agreeing with you. An awful lot of it certainly is irradiated. Simon Martin says, Mam Medica in the UK, good quality too, expensive. It's getting cheaper, irradiated and unradiated choices. Yeah. So what's the story with that in the UK? Like, is the radiation not a requirement as for the medical cannabis side of things, like? Like, I wonder how they're getting an exemption if there is a requirement to supply unradiated cannabis. Because if they can supply unradiated cannabis, like, wouldn't it be cheaper just to supply unradiated cannabis for them? Because the gamma radiation process is it's probably an extra cost anyway. It's an extra expense on the process. I don't know. Who knows? Do Bobby O'Brien says loose use for sure. Only ones I have seen even touch on the irradiation thing is in Canada. Yeah, okay, fair enough. Yeah, America's always been a bit loose with their old what would you say, their medicine industry. Those fucking ads, man, crack me up. I think it's America and New Zealand, the only two countries, isn't it, where like they're allowed advertised medication on TV. Do you suffer with lack of energy? Then you need fucking speed. Or whatever drug they're trying to push. You know what I mean? They hit you up with some sort of a symptom like that. Yeah, I have that. Talk to your doctor today about. For Plants A, what's happening? Same standards as Rec seems mainly big producers who irradiate lots of small ones pride themselves on not having to. Yeah, well, that is, I suppose that makes sense. If you are a big producer, then you're going to have a lot less hands on, at least a lot less time to contribute to each plant, to each bud. So therefore, like the chances of missing something that the gamma radiation could get afterwards is higher. So yeah, that makes sense. That the smaller ones wouldn't have to be irradiating. Do. Tree says Knox should be fine. There you go, Simon. Teresa says Knox should be fine. Just reading through some of the hotbox comments there. We get back to the last one or two headlines I have for you then. For plants, I guarantee not to fail microbial if irradiated. Yeah, that's it. And you do hear a lot about harvest failing the microbial over in the US in certain states. I can remember there for a while, a couple of years back, I used to be following a lot of the reports on the labs over there. On different things, just seeing kind of how high THC things were making, but more importantly, how many things were actually failing the standards, because that was important to know. To bring it back here to where we had no regulation, so how much cannabis over here is like not really up to standard? That was the question I was looking to answer back then. Answer was a lot. John Finnegan says radioactive weed great for smoking in the dark as it glows. Still a bastard to find if you lose it. Bagwan Sun says 30 seconds ad where then the after effects list is 3 minutes long. FDA not approved. Yeah. 400 side effects in 30 seconds. No Miles Chronic man. From again, I suppose keep in mind this was a Bedrocan study that they done on the cannabis themselves. But the gamma radiation had little to no effect on the terpenes or the volatile compounds within the cannabis flower that was irradiated. What they done, they had some cannabis that was due to be irradiated. They took half the sample, they irradiated it, and they took the other half sample and they exposed it to the same environment in which it would have been exposed to, which being just above room temperature inside the gamma radiator. And the loss of volatile compounds from both cannabis samples was comparable. So there wasn't much difference. There was a slightly higher loss, definitely, in the gamma radiator, but the amount was negligible. You could say I could say it was higher because I seen the results and there was definitely like an extra like 1% more lost, but like 1% out of 100%, like it's not a lot. Um, so it was negligible. They were comparable, the losses. But I can still understand why people would be freaked out. You know, we've all watched the Incredible Hulk and Spider Man and shit like that, getting bit by radioactive spiders and blasted by gamma rays or whatever, turn into the Incredible Hulk, turn into that crazy monster that Bobby O'Brien says, or not Bobby O'Brien, sorry Bobby, that Bobby Smith says people turn into after cannabis and go on crazed stabbing sprees. Uh, all right, we missed the last 420, but I see the bowl is empty there since the last time. I forgot to got some sour Maui cheese. Yummy. Yes. What's everybody got out there? Anybody got anything nice? Anybody got anything amazing worthwhile telling us about? TG, don't you go, rubbing our nose in it now with your anisey and all that spicy goodness. uh, Bobby, we're gonna have a shopping list too there soon. If TG keeps this up, be sending clones over next in the post. Yes. Stephen Walsh asking, would you rather fight one horse-sized duck or 100 duck-sized horses? There you go, guys. Which would you rather fight? To be very honest, I'd rather fight 100 duck-sized horses. I'd rather see a duck-sized horse rather than a horse-sized duck. Duck's a fucking badass, man. You know what I mean? They really are badass. I'd hate to see one the size of a horse. Horses are nice, but they let you rub them and everything. Or ducks don't, man. They'll eat you if they could, and if you have a horse-sized one, he'll mangle you. So there you go, 100 horses, the size of ducks. Be some quack. Yes. All right. Civil disobedience on the way, guys. Anybody else out there going joining me? Get your torch of freedom at the ready. Oh, good lordy. Been a few days actually since I had some of that sour Maui cheese, and yum. That was nice. Go on, Jai. What's in the spliff, Jai? Do you know what I was smoking there the other day actually is do you want it or not haze? The stock was running low and the stock was running low, and I reached out to my buddy, my grower buddy, and he wasn't stocked up, so unfortunately I had to reach out to another buddy. And he had some do you want it or not haze, and I was like, yeah, fuck it, I want it. And to be fair, it was nice. It was nice. On first inspection, opening it up and smelling it and stuff, I was a bit disappointed at first, but once you actually grinded it, it actually kind of released a nice aroma, a nice subtle haziness. And smoking it is actually even nicer again. So it got better every kind of step of the way. Come on, who out there wants to fight a duck the size of a horse? You mad bastards. Bogwan Son saying Gary painting at him flat out on the weekend on a chair for a few hours. Nice. Gonna have to get my hands on some of that Gary painting, it seems. Bobby saying that his stuff is special. Probably can't buy this stuff TG is working with too easy. No, I wouldn't imagine so. He was saying it only comes in cuts. So that's disappointing. It'll certainly be a challenge to get a cut all the way over here, wouldn't it? Maybe TG someday might develop a seed out of it. He's good for developing the seeds. TG and he's super dirt. Don't you call it dirt, John Finnegan, okay? Don't you be calling us that dirt. The cheek of you. Rasher says you were molded into that Sherbog one. And Jack Grissom, he's got some really nice oily, what is that say, hash around. Nice. Oh, sorry, no, he says he thinks it's some strain of dog and some really nice oily hash around there lately was really nice. Lucky you. Actually got my hands on some trim there recently. I have to get my hands on some ice there now later on this evening, and there'll be some nice hash around as well, which we look forward to immensely. Yes. Boom. Yes. Follow up. Let's jump on there, guys, because I do have one or two other headlines there for you. It's not over yet. Not over till the fat lady sings. Above in Dublin, again, 40k worth of cannabis seized and an electric bike seized also. This is above in Dublin when the cops spotted a guy on this green-looking electric bike. Cool-looking yoke, to be fair. It's got like dirt bike-looking wheels, cool suspensions and what have you. Class. But this dude was masked up on this anyway, looking a bit suspicious, and the cops seen him, and when he seen the cops approaching him, he dropped a bag, or at least he fled the area on the bike, leaving the bag behind. When the guards picked up the bag, they found what was 2 kilos of cannabis hidden inside it, worth €40,000. They gave chase, but the suspect got away, says, at least I suspect he got away. Doesn't say he was caught. But they did seize the e-bike, and the cannabis is now to be sent for analysis by the Forensic Science Ireland. Again, waste time, you know what I mean? Seriously, like that young fella, or whoever it might have been with the 2 kilos worth of cannabis, he's most likely in more danger now because of the guards and the accident, the forgetfulness of himself leaving that bag behind, you know, because there's 2 kilos of cannabis there. That's worth something to somebody. Somebody was expecting to make some money off of that, and now they're not. And I don't think that was his cannabis or her cannabis, whoever was on that e-bike, most likely some young fella. And now that young fella is in trouble. Like, I wouldn't be surprised, to be fair, if over the next couple of days some young fella goes missing and next the body is found in a canal above there in Dublin somewhere, or some body is found dismembered across Dublin and Louth and stuff, you know, Keane Mulready Woods-esque type shit, like, you know. I wouldn't be surprised. The sooner we end the prohibition of drugs, the sooner we can regulate the sale and supply of it, the sooner we can do away with that. Is there young fellas out there going around with backpacks full of fucking tobacco like this? Like, do you ever hear things like that going on? Where the young fella's out on an e-bike and he fucking takes off, and next the cops are finding a load of contraband tobacco. There is contraband tobacco out there. I know there's contraband tobacco out there, but there's not young fellas selling it. The people selling contraband tobacco, it's the mums and dads who are gone away to Spain for the weekend that they probably don't smoke themselves. And next they're like, fuck it, if I bring back 400 fags there, what are you allowed to bring back now? 200? I bring back 200 fags there now, sure might cover the price of their flights. Or bring back those pouches of tobacco, 50-gram pouches of tobacco, sell them off there, 20 quid each. You bring back a 10-pack pouch of tobacco, you get 200 quid for the 10-pack. You probably paid 60 quid for it. Nice 100 quid there in the pocket. Happy days. Mad. But yeah, that's where we're at now. So again, more waste time above there by the cops. And it doesn't end there. The final one, I do believe the final one I have feed. Yeah, a final one I have feed then today, the final seizure. Boom. €2.4 million worth of cannabis seized as part of a joint operation by the Gardaí and Revenue. They found 120 kilos of cannabis, or €2.4 million worth of it. So you see the cannabis here spread out. I'll just zoom in a little bit more there for you. Up on top of some pallets. Fair old bit of cannabis there. But again, like, why bother wasting their time and effort in this? This that could be potentially a legitimate import coming from a legitimate exporter from another country, coming into Ireland and being sold in fucking retail outlets and cafes and clubs, call them what you will, where jobs will be created, where revenue will be generated, where people will be kept safe. Why aren't we doing this? Seriously, why aren't we doing this? Oh, excuse me. Delayed cough there from that one. But 2 men have been arrested following the seizure of cannabis estimated to be worth 2.4 million worth in County Meath. The seizure was made on Tuesday following a joint intelligence-led operation by the Garda, National Drugs and Organised Crime Bureau, and the Revenue's Customs Service. Again, like, you know, a number of fucking what you call them, valuable resources, there to keep us safe. And instead of actually keeping us safe, like, what are they really doing if all they're doing is taking all this cannabis off the thing? They're not really keeping us safe, to be fair. Revenue officers seized approximately 120 kilos of cannabis herb, which was an estimated value of €2.4 million, and a Garda spokeswoman said the drugs seized will be sent to Forensic Science Ireland for further cost to taxpayers and analysis, while investigations are ongoing, which costs even more fucking money to taxpayers. They say 2 men arrested by Gardaí, both aged in their 50s, are currently detained under Section 2 of the Criminal Justice Drug Trafficking Act 1996 at a Garda station in County Meath. That was put up there by Jack White. Well done, Jack. So there you go, another 2.4 million. So, like, how much have we covered already? What 4 months into the year, and man, we've covered hundreds of thousands of euro. Hundreds of thousands, hundreds of millions. If we're possibly into the billion, up into the billion euro now, surely. Worth of cannabis seized already this year. At least I feel like we're that high. Like, you know, you're getting multiple seizures there across a week that are in the millions. Some of them they're into the multi-millions, hundreds of millions even. Surely we're up around the billion mark. Slap a 20% tax in that, just a 200 million there for the fucking taxpayers. 800,000 then to go to pay wages to fucking, I don't know, fill the bank accounts of successful entrepreneurs within the cannabis industry. It's just frustrating, really, like, because it makes so much sense to regulate the tax, to educate people around consumption. And then when you look at the opposite, well, what we're actually doing, which is prohibition, you catch somebody with a cannabis plant, something that's not really dangerous to them or their family, and you're going to take that person out of the home if it's the father in the home. Let's say, in my example, if they take the father out of the home, they're now going to leave the family more vulnerable because they're one male down within that home who would have been the main male within that home. Now they're vulnerable to another male, unfortunately, breaking into that house and victimizing that family because they're now missing their main protector, you know. As men go within the family, that is a role that men play within the family. Like, it's not sexist to suggest that at all, is it? I would imagine not. Forgive me if it is. But you know what I mean? And they're going to then put you into a prison where it's now dangerous for you too, as the person, the prisoner. It's more dangerous there than the plant ever was to you, also. How does that make sense? It makes no sense at all. All of the time, it's cost. That's all costing taxpayers money. When on the other side, if we regulate it, make it safer for the individual using it, for the family of that individual, and for society at large, but also generating a revenue that you can put back into maybe something like mental health to help people who actually do a fucking drug addiction problem. Well, not drug addiction problems, sorry, mental health problems that get manifested in a symptom such as drug addiction. Somebody's talking about me out there. My nose is getting itchy. But you know, I know you know, guys. I'm preaching to the choir here. I really am. I really am. Oh. What's going on here? Let's make sure that wasn't too important. Oh god. Simon Martin says, here in the UK a few weeks ago, seen a raid on a grow by police. The place afterwards had loads of ballast with the leads cut, but lots of black bags of trimming from a big grow that was done. I grabbed the ballast and the trim, but I couldn't believe the amount of police left on the street. That's gas. That is gas. That's not the first time something like that has happened. I can remember reading a story like that as well before, like where the cops went and raided a place, took certain stuff out of the place, came back afterwards to get the rest of it, and it was all gone. Gabberhead, what's happening? Says Martin Bud. Crazy it is. Yes, indeed. Oh, CG, what is happening, my man? Says, one love, y'all. Teresa says, Simon, I heard something very similar about a local grow that was found. Seemingly there was loads of bud left behind. We'll be checking out places that are local from now on. Simon Martin says, fire wedding cake. I grabbed 3 bags, reduced it to 3/4 of a black bag. Some huge buds as well. Best find I had come across. Other bits now and again, but nothing like this. Simon, boy, you sound like a lucky dude, boy. Lucky dude indeed. But yeah, that is everything. So, guys, that is all of the news for today. Oh, we have a bowl pack. I was just about to get my grinder ready there and all to pack up a bowl, but it's packed. Ganji God's shining on me, gracing us with a packed bowl. Did I have anything else I wanted to get to? I not write it down, but I do feel like I'm forgetting something. I talked about the protests and all of that stuff. Talked about the upcoming talk. Yeah, no, I think I got everything. Just have that feeling that you're forgetting something, but TG, damn. You're back in time just for the boys, TG. Goodbye, balls. We got the sour Maui cheese packed up here. Doing well. Looking forward to the start of June, I've been told that there's going to be some blackout Bobby available. Apparently some beans that were from Exotic Genetics, so Exotic Mike. So looking forward to a taste of that one. Supposed to be heavy indica as well, given the name Blackout Blackout Bobby. Think it's got, like, what was it? Was it Oreos and rainbow chips or something like that in there? Sounded like a nice one anyway, so I'm excited for that when that one's ready. Who knows what's next? Any more of that species? Was of 4872? 4872, wasn't it? That was amazing, man. That was so tasty too. It was such a unique flavor. I've not come across anything like that actually still to date. Super tasty. Simon Martin says, loads of people passing for days were grabbing handfuls until the police came back and still left the remains. What are the cops up to about? 8472. Nice ones. Nice one, TG. What did I say? 4872. Obviously, giving away the fact that I'm not a Trekkie. Apologies to any Trekkies out there. Mr. Finnegan and TG. Or has Mr. Finnegan just got a better memory than Emma the Strand than me? Oh, but by golly, do I remember what it tastes like? Oh, it was beautiful. TG says I have a bunch left that I won't ever get to, so you'll get something going. I always say it laugh out loud, but legit this time. I'm more than happy to have their safe transport here facilitated, however needs be. I know a lot of friends here who would be more than happy with to sample some of TG's amazing genetics. Four plants, it says morning to TG. Oh yeah, it's morning time for you over there, TG. It forgets that actually, and Mr. O'Brien as well, Bobby, if you're still with us. It's earlier in the day for yourselves over there across on the other side of the globe. Okay. Cue the flat earthers. And legit, any flat earthers out there in the audience? Oh yes, and that has got to be one of the funniest fucking theories ever. Oh yes, oh I love that. Had a good one there with my buddy. His dad. We'll say no names, like, but was like fucking fully convinced the moon was fake, and all at one point in time was after getting a laser thermometer and was like, look, it shouldn't be this temperature or something. I can't remember now what he was telling me exactly. But I was just like, I think he's lost it. But he didn't. He didn't. He pulled it back afterwards. Oh yes, with flat Earth, man. That was a funny one. All right, for a while. Imagine if the joke was on me and the Earth really was flat. I'm gonna shut up now and engage in some civil disobedience, and I hope I'm not alone. Oh yeah, everyone knows that, John. That's why you make sure you feed the birds loads of bread. That's why people feed the birds bread. You clog up the cogs inside in them, and it stops them from working. So the government can't spy on you. So you have to go and buy loads of bread and feed all the birds. Nah, don't do that. Bread apparently isn't that good for birds. Especially ducks and shit. At least they said that out of the lock car anyway. They prefer bird seed. Birds are fake. Oh, you know, one says, laugh out loud at Martin World. Some crazy folk out there, bro. Yeah, but but none of them are here, but we're all saying, yeah? We're all saying in the membrane. Saying in the brain. Ah, yes. Get done for copyright now in a minute because my song was so close to Cyprus. Right, yo. Guys, it's been an absolute pleasure to be on here with you, shooting the breeze as always. Excuse me. Oh, unless anybody's got any more comments, anyone has got anything more to say out there in the hotbox. Oh, that's went out. Oh. Bobby O'Brien says, trying to talk myself out of gambling and doobies in the falls. Oh man, that sounds like a good night out. But no, Bobby, stay in, be a dry balls. Don't go have fun. Miles Chronic says frozen peas for the old duckos. Yeah, frozen peas. Yeah, that's not bad either. Yeah, I didn't know that one actually, to be honest. But that's not a bad one. Rasher says, sounds like you're probably losing that conversation, Bobby. No doubt he's already after losing it. He's already in the car by two pre-rolls made and ready to go. Miles Chronic says, Top Man Martin, thanks a lot, bro. Not a bother at all, Miles Chronic. It's been a pleasure to be on here. Much appreciated to everybody who did join in. Says here we've had 71 viewers throughout the stream. Well, hey. Always good. But I will be back with more 420 news there. Most likely, I'll see if what the story is with the people before profit thing on Thursday, guys. I'll pop this back up on screen there for you. Where is he gone? Did I close Gino's page? No, I didn't. There he is. So there's Gino back up for you guys. Can we make this any bit bigger? No, that's as big as it goes. It's full page already. So there you go, guys. Just make sure you get over there to Gino's page anyway. There's a QR code on that poster. You can use that, I believe, to get the link. I believe the link is going to be put up on Gino's X page, on his Facebook page, and on the People Before Profits page as well. But do definitely make sure you have Gino followed anyway and all of that stuff. I'll have a chat with. I'll see if I can reach out to him, and I'll see if it's alright for me to do a restream of it. I see one or two people in the hot box earlier asking about doing a special for that to restream this, but I won't do that without permission from them first. So we'll see what they say. But do make sure you get over there. That's this Thursday, guys. That's coming this Thursday at 9 o'clock that evening. Should make for a good evening, good discussion. Hopefully they'll have an interactive session afterwards where people can contribute, ask questions, maybe engage in some way anyway. But let's see what happens. I will be back then. I'm just trying to think. Is there something on this Saturday then? May. Oh, this coming Saturday, actually, the first Saturday of May is Worldwide Million Marijuana March. That's the first Saturday of May every year, isn't it? So that's this Saturday coming. I don't believe there is anything happening in Ireland for it, unfortunately. We seem to be one-trick ponies when it comes to 420 as campaigners, I suppose, the campaign groups go, unfortunately. But hopefully that can change, and hopefully we can get a bit more active here, because unfortunately I don't hold much faith in the current policymakers, and I really don't want to be holding my breath until the fucking next group of policymakers take charge, because you know how these can just take ages, isn't it? But yeah, I do believe the people need to start coming together and engaging in a little bit more active civil disobedience, pushing the boundaries a little bit. I think a time for clubs is more needed now than ever. I see lots of people setting up their own little markets and stuff like that. Like there's lots of Telegram pages, there's lots of Instagram pages now, and people are putting up menus and all of that stuff. Like, but I think we need to graduate one above that, because that's still like very much it's still holding us back, if you will. Like, we're not united around these things. That's a page owned and operated by one person trying to sell some cannabis to make some money, most likely, and there's no problem with that. And what I'm talking about is forming a club locally where they too will come together and hopefully be able to get cannabis safely, cheaply, of a high quality, and all of that stuff. But more importantly, create and form a place to socialize, to strengthen, and to grow. Mm, Proverbially, not literally. You know what I mean? So yeah, let's see what happens. Bobby is surprised says, "You twisted my arm, just started the car." Sorry, Bobby boy. Sorry. At least that's what I'm telling the wife anyway. It's all Finnegan's fault. Poor Johnny boy. Man, don't the cock there, Johnny boy. Me make you a cup of tea and give you a big hug. Pack you up a nice bowl too, boy. Bobby says, I hope everyone has a good night. Always a pleasure, folks. Bobby, thanks very much as always for joining us, man. It's a pleasure to have you in the audience, and likewise a pleasure to have you over in the hot box. To anybody else out there in the hot box, which is up there, that, yes, there we go. It looks more like I'm pointing at it now. To get the orientation right there with the camera. But anybody that's up in the hot box up in the corner of the screen there now and isn't on the Telegram one, and you are on Telegram, then there's a link in the description. Use that to join the Telegram. There's a bunch of us like those in the hot box right now that converse over there on a 24/7 basis. And you're more than welcome to join us at any point in time. Just be nice. That's all we require of anybody who joins. Just be nice, and don't be a guard. Or sorry, no, did I say that? I meant don't be a pig. Be a guard all you want, but don't be a pig about it. Yes. So much love to everybody out there, guys. Thanks for joining us. Salon, go full. Stay blaze, guys, and keep her lit. Much love. Peace. Those long Irish goodbyes.